Hi, I'm Terry, and I'm nuts about stamping. I'm back today with another Sundays with Sizzix project. It's this Christmas gift tag that I made using my Big Shot. Here is what you need to gather at home so that you can make this tag too. You have your Big Shot, your platform, your 2 standard cutting pads, your 2 tags die, and 2 textured impressions embossing folders. I used my Perfect Polka Dots and Snowburst. I used the 2.5-inch circle punch and my corner rounder punch. For cardstock, I used Soft Suede, Whisper White, Cherry Cobbler, and I had a scrapbook in an evening class recently, and this designer series paper is from the Christmas Lane Simply Scrappin' Kit. So what you would want to use at home if you don't have this paper is something that's sort of Christmassy in nature, and then choose coordinating cardstock to go with it. I also used my snail adhesive, my paper snips, and my paper piercing tool. I also would use some rhinestone jewels or some kind of brad that you have at home that would make a nice Christmas tree topper. On this tag, I used the chocolate chip quilted satin ribbon, but you could also use a piece of the dotted scallop ribbon, that's the Cherry Cobbler. And then you're going to want to have your paper cutter ready to go. All right, I think that's all I had gathered together. I'll be back in a moment and I will show you how to create the tree and emboss with the folders. Back in a moment. All right, I'm back, and so the first thing we want to do is to cut out the tags using the 2 tags die. You're going to layer your Cherry Cobbler and your Whisper White on top of each other. Lay it over the larger of the 2 tags. You've got your bottom standard cutting pad, your die, your cardstock, and your top standard cutting pad. That's your sandwich, and then run it through the Big Shot. Then what you want to do is take your white tag and you want to run it back through the Big Shot and emboss it or texturize it. I'm going to have my platform on tab 2. Get it all set up here. Your platform on tab 2, your bottom standard cutting pad, and then I'm going to use the Snowburst embossing folder. Put it in there. And then I need my top standard cutting pad, which is over here. And then I'm going to emboss it. And then while I have my Big Shot set up, the next thing I want to do is I'm going to set this aside for now. Hard to get it off the embossing folder at times. Okay, and then what I want to do is take my scrap Cherry Cobbler cardstock and my 2.5-inch circle punch, and I want to punch a 2.5-inch circle from the Cherry Cobbler and also from the Christmas Lane Designer Series paper. And then I want to emboss the Cherry Cobbler circle. I'm going to put it inside the Perfect Polka Dots embossing folder. And my platform is all set up for me, ready to go. And I'm going to emboss that. And then I'm finished with the Big Shot. All right. So I have the embossed circle and I have my tag. So what I want to do is bring in my paper cutter and I want to cut off a little bit from the bottom of the tag and a little bit from each side so that it creates a layer. Boy, my tag is falling apart here, but that's okay. We can make do. In the original, my tag did not fall apart, so. All right, so we've got these pieces here, And then what I'll show you I'll do, sometimes things don't work out even when you're doing a video. So what I want to do is I want to corner round the bottom of each side of the tag, the white tag, and I want to corner around the top of the tag as well. Let's see if that's going to work. Nope. Let's try it this way. Nope, it's not. So let's take scissors and we'll just manually round the corners. Okay, and then what you want to do is you want to adhere your white tag on top of your cherry cobbler tag. Okay, so I'm going to set that aside for now. Oh, the other thing you want to do is, before you do that, you want to adhere on, that might help hold it together too. Let me go ahead and do that. I'm going to use my snail adhesive and my cherry cobbler circle. And I want to adhere that on to the front of my tag. There we go, it holds it together nicely. And then I want to trim off the excess, like so. And then what I want to do is I want to create the tree. Let me just put this on here now. Like so. All right, so you have punched a 2.5 inch Designer Series paper circle, and what you want to do is create a little bit of a score line and cut that circle in half vertically. Like so. And then what you want to do is you want to fold it into a tree shape. So once you have a template going, then you're good to go. So what you want to do is practice at home until you get a template that works. So you want to fold it this way, and then you want to fold it back on itself, and then you want to fold it forward again. And then I just bent my little piece around like that, and there you have a little Christmas tree. So let me bring in my original so you can see it. Let me go over it again. You've got your half circle. You're going to fold it in to the halfway point, fold it back, and then fold it in again, and then wrap it around. And you can sort of mess with it until it gets to be a nice pointed top like that. Okay, and then I adhered it to the front of my tag on the cherry cobbler circle. I used I think either Early Espresso or Chocolate Chip as the cardstock for the tree trunk. You can use, because this Designer Series paper also uses soft suede, you can bring in a little piece of soft suede and cut yourself a tiny rectangle for the tree trunk. And then the last thing you can do before you adhere the circle on, or before you adhere it onto the red tag, is you can add a brad or a rhinestone jewel to the top of the tree to complete your Christmas tree tag. For a complete listing of the supplies and the measurements that I used to make this Christmas tag, please go to my blog, www.nutzaboutstamping.com. While on my blog, don't forget to subscribe to my customer newsletters. They're free and they come out twice a month. They show you exclusive ideas, and I also advertise my classes in camps and clubs. I have a virtual club and an online Stamps in the Mail club for those of you that live long distance. You can also ask me a question, place an order, or just look through at all the other sample ideas I have posted. I'm Terry. I'm Nuts About Stamping. See you next time. Bye for now.